The seatbelt sign blinked softly above the aisle, a faint chime cutting through the steady hum of the jet engines. Flight 204 from Frankfurt to New York cruised at 36,000 feet, somewhere above the dark Atlantic. Most passengers were asleep, wrapped in blankets, their faces lit by the bluish glow of screens. In seat 21C sat a woman who seemed invisible to everyone. Her name was Maya Reynolds, dressed in a simple gray sweatshirt and jeans, hair tied back in a loose bun. She'd boarded quietly, offered polite smiles, and hadn't spoken much since. She looked like anyone else, tired, thoughtful, lost in her own world. No one would have guessed she'd spent 6 years in the Navy. No one would have guessed she'd once been the best pilot in her squadron before everything went wrong. Maya's eyes stayed on the dark window, watching the faint reflection of her face against the endless black sky. She wasn't thinking about the flight. She was thinking about the email she hadn't answered, the one offering her reinstatement. The Navy wanted her back, but she wasn't sure she could go back. Not after that mission, not after losing Captain Hines in a night sortie over the Persian Gulf. A voice broke through her thoughts. "Excuse me, miss," said the flight attendant softly, "would you like another drink?" Maya shook her head and smiled faintly. "I'm good, thanks." The attendant moved on. Maya took a breath, closed her eyes, and leaned back. The hum of the engines lulled her, steady, reliable, familiar. Then, 15 minutes later, the hum changed. It started as a tremor, subtle, almost like turbulence. The cabin lights flickered once, then steadied. People glanced up, then went back to their movies. But Maya's instincts flared awake. That wasn't turbulence. The sound was uneven, like a stall correction attempt. Her hand gripped the armrest. A voice crackled through the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We're experiencing a minor technical issue. Please remain seated." Nothing to worry about. But his tone, that half-second pause before "nothing to worry about," told her everything. The trembling grew worse. A dull metallic thud came from beneath the cabin floor. The aircraft dipped slightly, then steadied. The lights flickered again. Then came the alarm, a shrill, piercing warning tone that silenced every whisper, every rustle, every sip of coffee. Passengers looked up, eyes wide. Someone gasped. A baby began to cry. The flight attendants hurried down the aisles, trying to calm everyone, their smiles tight, rehearsed. Maya looked toward the cockpit door. It was closed, sealed, and silent. "Hey, what's going on?" someone shouted. "Just turbulence, folks. Please stay seated," one attendant said, voice trembling. Then came another sound, louder, deeper, a bang from the left engine. The plane jerked sharply to one side. Drinks spilled. People screamed. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling with a mechanical hiss. The cabin erupted into chaos. "Brace, everyone brace!" the attendant yelled. The aircraft began to descend, not falling, but losing altitude fast. Maya's training kicked in like a reflex. She unbuckled her seatbelt, ignoring the terrified faces around her. "Ma'am, please sit down," an attendant shouted. "I need to speak to the cockpit," Maya said, calm but firm. "You can't." Then another voice cut through the intercom, rough, commanding, urgent. "This is Captain Blake of the U.S. Navy SEALs. Who here can fly an aircraft?" The cabin froze. Maya turned her head sharply. 2 rows ahead, a broad-shouldered man stood in the aisle, uniform sleeves rolled to his elbows. His voice steady but loud enough to cut through the panic. He looked around desperately, eyes scanning every face. "Anyone here a pilot?" No one answered. People stared, mouths open, shaking their heads. Maya rose to her feet. "I can." The SEAL captain turned instantly, eyes locking on her. "What did you say?" "I can fly," she repeated. "I'm a former Navy pilot." He didn't waste a second. "Come with me." The attendant hesitated, stammering something about protocol, but the captain flashed his badge and barked, "Move." The cockpit door opened seconds later, the co-pilot standing pale and shaking. The captain led Maya inside. One look told her what she feared. The pilot slumped in his seat, unconscious, maybe worse. The co-pilot was struggling, sweat pouring down his face, alarm screaming across the dashboard. "We've lost engine 1, he gasped. "Fuel pressure's dropping on 2, auto stabilizers failing." "Then disconnect it," Maya said, Sliding into the pilot's chair, he blinked at her. "Who the hell? Lieutenant Commander Maya Reynolds, U.S. Navy," she snapped. "Move." He moved. Her hands danced over the controls, muscle memory returning like instinct. The dashboard flickered red and orange warnings. She adjusted the flaps, recalibrated the trim, and pulled the yoke to steady the roll. "Talk to me," she said to the co-pilot. "We were on course at 36,000 when engine 1 overheated. We lost hydraulics, then he passed out." Maya glanced at the unconscious pilot, then back to the instruments. "Cabin pressure? Dropping, but stable now. Oxygen deployed." "Good." She took a steadying breath. "We're diverting." "Closest airfield?" The CO captain stepped closer. "We're over the North Atlantic. Closest would be Rathleigh in Heath or Shannon in Ireland. You tell me what you need." She nodded. "Get me a patch through to ATC. We're declaring an emergency." For the next several minutes, Maya's voice was steady, clipped, and precise, the kind of voice that made people trust her without question. She radioed the emergency frequency, identifying herself, giving coordinates, altitude, and fuel status. "This is Flight 204, declaring Mayday. One engine out, captain incapacitated, hydraulic pressure low, pilot in command, Lieutenant Commander Reynolds. Request immediate vector to Shannon." ATC responded instantly, vectoring them toward the Irish coast. Inside the cabin, fear had turned to stunned silence. The CO captain stepped back into the aisle, shouting orders with military calm. "Everyone stay seated. We're in good hands." The pilot flying now is Navy. Repeat, Navy. Passengers murmured, whispering to each other. Some cried, some prayed, some looked toward the cockpit door as if staring could help. In the cockpit, Maya worked like a machine. Every flick of a switch, every turn of a dial came from years of muscle memory. Sweat dripped down her temple, but her hands never shook. "Hydraulics dropping again," the co-pilot said. "I see it," she muttered. "We'll go manual." "That's insomnia." "Then buckle up." The CO captain stood behind her, watching every move. "You've done this before," he said quietly. "Once or twice," she said, not looking up. The plane began its descent through thick clouds, buffeted by wind and rain. The Atlantic shimmered far below, a black and endless. Lightning flashed in the distance. "ATC says we're clear for emergency approach," the co-pilot said. "Copy." "Flaps 20, gear down on my mark." At 10,000 feet, the plane shook violently again. The left engine sputtered, belching smoke. A warning tone blared. "Come on," she whispered. "Don't quit on me now." "Left engine critical," the co-pilot warned. "I know," Maya said. "We're gliding it in." The CO captain grabbed the radio. "This is Captain Blake. Cabin's secure. Everyone's braced." "Good," Maya said softly. "Tell them a broken bar, they'll be fine." As the coastline appeared through the rain, lights twinkling below, Maya felt her chest tighten. For the first time since that night over the Gulf, she felt alive in the cockpit again, not haunted, not broken, just herself. "Gear down," she ordered. The co-pilot hit the switch. The landing gear groaned but locked in place. Speed 170, flaps full. They descended through a curtain of rain, runway lights glimmering like a thin thread of salvation. "Almost there," she whispered. The wheels touched the tarmac with a bone-rattling screech. Sparks flew. The left engine burst in flame for a split second before the emergency foam system engaged. The aircraft shuddered to a halt halfway down the runway. Silence, then applause. A wave of it, muffled at first, then louder, echoing through the cabin. Crying, laughing, disbelief. Maya leaned back, chest heaving, hands trembling now that it was over. The co-pilot stared at her like he was seeing a ghost. The CO captain put a hand on her shoulder. "Hell of a landing, Commander." She smiled faintly. Just another day at 30,000 feet. When the emergency teams arrived, the passengers were escorted off safely. Reporters, flashing lights, chaos everywhere, but in the middle of it, Maya slipped quietly down the steps of the aircraft. She didn't want the cameras. She just wanted the night air. The CO captain caught up to her near the tarmac. "You saved 200 lives tonight," he said. "You're not just walking away." She turned, her eyes tired but calm. "I didn't do it for recognition." "I know," he said. "But you should know your name's already on the manifest. Navy called in to confirm your credentials. You're still in their system." She looked at him, surprised. "They said you were one of the best pilots they ever had," he continued. "You should go back." Maya gazed toward the dark horizon, where the sea met the sky. For a moment, she was silent. Then she smiled a small, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Maybe I will," she said softly. The SEAL captain nodded. "If you do Broken Bar, I'd be proud to serve under you," she chuckled, shaking her head. "Let's just get off this runway first, Captain." As dawn broke over Shannon Airport, the clouds parted, revealing streaks of gold across the sky. The passengers watched from the terminal windows as the firefighters cleared the foam from the landing strip. They didn't know her name, not yet. To them, she was just the woman from seat 21C, the quiet one. But to everyone who saw her step off that plane, calm and steady as the morning light, she was something more. She was the reason they were alive.